Time for some silver. I found this fancy gemstone in the dirt not long ago. And it's the same as an old project I had done, which is this little bit of a prong setting. And because I have a little bit of leftover materials, those two, I'm going to try it again. I'm going to use this to make more rings and then prongs. First I got to fix my draw bench. Get the dust off this thing. I got to fix the hand crank setup because my electric run idea did not work, but that's okay. I'm alright with that. I had a friend make me this custom piece to fit in the original handle of this boat crank. That was the adapter before. I had him give me quite a bit of room on that. Just stick it on here and crank her on over. Let's put it back together here. Ooh, yeah, back to cranking. Gotta tighten everything down a little bit. It's ready to go. But I got one last thing I gotta do. I need to bend these back the other way just a little bit. Or fix the end on the strap. I'm gonna start with these. It was just easier to take this old end off. It was matched to the other pair of pliers, and then put this on. This is just from a tie down strap. This old one was from like a leather weight belt thing. Did me good. I made a lot of wire with it. Got good tension. I might have to clean up the knurling somehow on the inside of these two teeth just so it gives it a little extra bite on the wire. The other thing later on is I'm gonna have to take this end piece and make a new one and bring it down a little bit because it is a little too far for me to reach when cranking down on everything. It's about 5 feet of wire I could make with this free draw bench or someone else's trash. Let's make some prong wire. Sweet. I have my prong material nice and stretched out. I got these 2 extra bars. Save them for later. Now that this is done, I can start on these. I'm gonna tell you, this isn't easy as just pulling it through every hole on your draw plate. Every time it goes through one of those holes, I will file out the end of it. So I get about a 1/2 inch or more to fit through the hole. Then I'll anneal it. Once the annealing is done, then I'll wax it down. And then pull it through. Every time it goes through that draw plate, you need to file out the bottom of it because it'll basically make a tube. Let's start on these. I don't trust the remembrance on what the solder is for this ring, so I'm going to make more. I stretched out another bar to the same gauge, and I'm going to use this new tool I got from the swap meet. Paid $7 for it. It's a transfer punch kit, and it's good for being a bunch of mandrels instead. Not originally made for jewelry, but it's here now. Let's coil up some more. Good enough for me. I'm gonna have to edit these. This is about as big as I could put in this little chuck. So I might have to have a friend put some of these in his lathe and turn down the end so they all fit in there. There's most of what I need. I also made 2 of these. This will be for the prongs. It's a little excessive, but just showing you how I'm doing it. And the extra doesn't really bother me much. Just cut it off, use it somewhere else, melt it down, whatever works. I'm not worried about it. I got top and bottom rings, little extras, and more if I need prongs. The next step is to solder these at hard solder, and then notch out in a good cross section in both ways, nice and even. And then I can take this and pull it through to get it in those notches so it holds nice and tight while I'm soldering it. Let's make it happen. There's the little notches that I need. Look at that. If you can. I really need a close-up camera. But now that the little grooves are made into that jump ring, somewhat at an angle, I can take this little section here and basically snap it in between and then pull it down to the end so it holds onto it, kind of like that. A pair of tweezers. And then I'll solder it. Just not this one. This one's the top one. Time to repeat the same thing on the base. Yeah, I messed up my first solder, but it's okay. Look at that. Nice and sturdy. I did cut these down a little bit and rebent them in a different shape. I wasn't happy with what I started on. But now that the first base ring is soldered in there, I can take this piece and repeat the same process. So I get something that looks like this. Now before I actually do solder that other one on, I'm going to make sure everything is nice and aligned and straight as best I can with what I got. Once that's done, I can take this secondary ring, which is the top one, and get it in there and turn it so it matches all the grooves all the way around. Solder it out, and we'll get the cleanup. Let's make it happen. Before I continue a little bit on the soldering, I'm going to give a bit of explanation on how I'm going to do it. So the piece that I'm holding on to now is the new section that's going in, and this part right here has already been soldered. What I'm going to do is put that already soldered section in my third hand so I get a bit of a heat sink out. The bottom ring itself is soldered with hard solder, and then the ring to the pillars is soldered at a medium. So I'm going to do a medium on the other two. I got them both soldered on there. Nice and sturdy like. The only problem that I messed up on is bending these improperly. So one's at a nice angle and one is more straight up and down. So I might have to cut off the tops. Possibly one of them. Hopefully not both of them. It would not be fun. So I can get my ring in there. I might take these little snap ring tools I use for my small engines and get it in there and bend it a little more out on both sides and see if that works. These come in handy quite a bit. There's the second ring put in there. Not how I would prefer, but I cannot remember how I did it the last time. Let's try and solder that top ring in, huh? I'm happy I made extras. Right. I like it. Good practice work. I did a little bit of over soldering on this particular one right here, but I'm okay with that. Coming along nicely. Now the next bit is to cut off all the bottom stuff and then file it out just a tiny bit, and then cut the tops for the height that I'm going to need. Let's get to that. Cool. I'd say that's about good and cleaned up for now. Not bad for some practice work. It could be better, but that's okay. The next part for me is to file out the prongs, get everything ready so our gemstone can get put in. Alright, what I'm going to do to start is to take this safety needle file and then kind of flatten out just a little bit of the inside of each one of these pillars that are here. Always making sure that the flat side is pointed towards the middle on all four. Once it's shaved down just a wee bit, I'm going to take a knife file and then I'm going to cut a groove just before that top jump ring, so I get a nice bit in there for the gemstone to sit in. And then we'll round off the tops once we figure out the height that it truly needs to be. And then we can put our stone in. I don't have a cup burr to clean up all the tops of them, and I don't know what this gemstone is, so I'll be using my safety needle file for sure. And because this is a new one, I'm going to polish the edge on either side. The top doesn't have any knurling on it, so it doesn't have any file motion, but the edge sometimes will scratch stuff. So I'll polish that, make sure when I go to start cleaning everything up, I won't scratch my stone. Oh yeah. Not bad. Yeah, it's a little ugly, but guess what? I made it. I'm happy with it. It'll get better from here. The next bit, which is the last part, after those little bits of filing is done on the inside, I'm going to take a cone burr, which is similar to this one, but a little smaller, and I'm going to go along the inside of this top ring to bevel it out a little bit and essentially make a cullet out of it. So this sits in here a little bit snug, and it does currently. It's a little tight. It's alright. I'd say that's about good for now. I'm going to save the rest of this for a ring project later. Still needs a little bit of filing on the inside. That's alright. It came out pretty good. Especially using for a big torch like that. Fine with me. Here's the other project I made before I actually started recording anything. This stone, I think, is a lab alexandrite. I could be wrong. It might be a color change sapphire, but definitely lab created. Now that I did the pendant, I want to make a ring. That's why we'll save this for another day. Next.